Anyway, so the next thing that we used to do was a little thing called wasting time, which is this used to be everybody's favorite portion of the show, mine included. This is where all the yucks used to happen. I don't have a funny story today, but I do have an interesting story that I think you might like, and it has to do with this guitar. Okay. This is let's see what year it is. This is a 2005 Gibson Firebird Studio. Now, Joe already knows this story, I think, right, Joe? I told you the story.
Yeah.
Before I left for Dixieland, during COVID, I sold some guitars and traded some guitars because I got bored because I was sitting in the house all day. And I remember looking on this website called Reverb and seeing an amp that I wanted, which is right next to me, actually, right here. I saw this amp and it was in Philly at a pawn shop. And I drove down in the middle of COVID, like right when COVID started. Like we were just on Zoom, like at my job at the time. And I was supposed to be on a Zoom meeting, and I put it on my phone and I drove down to Philly. And
did you have a fake background behind you?
Yeah. No, I just turned my screen off.
They didn't catch on when they heard the Sopranos music playing in the background.
Well, I was already out. Like they knew I was moving. So I was, I was already gone. So I don't think they really cared. But I was just being nice and I was in the meeting anyway. But I drove down to Philly and I had this guitar and I traded this guitar for this amp and another guitar. And I came home with the other guitar and the amp and left that one in Philly. And I moved down here 4.5 years ago. So I was perusing Reverb, which is like an eBay for just musical instruments. And what I started doing was I made a book. This is my book. And what I do is I document all of my guitars. So every guitar in here is my guitars. And I write down the
coffee table book.
I made my own coffee table book. I just got to put legs on it. No, I need to put legs on it, like Kramer did.
It's a coffee table book about coffee tables.
Yes. So what I started doing was I started to document all my guitars. I write down the serial numbers and everything about them, about the years they were made and all that stuff. So I was reminiscing about the guitar, this guitar, and how I sold it. Because this guitar was bought for me as a graduation gift by my parents when I graduated college. And I was very upset that I sold it because I was in a band back in New York. And this was my go-to guitar. And I used to play this guitar at every show. And there are lots of pictures on Facebook and the internet of me and Joe singing at a microphone with me playing this guitar. Joe wasn't in the band, but he was drunk enough to get up on stage and help me sing some songs sometimes. So I'm perusing Reverb. And I type in Firebird Studio, 2005 Gibson Firebird Studio. And I notice, for some reason, I don't know why, there's probably 35 or 40 listings. I stop on this one listing because it looks to me like it's in an old-fashioned, like, Brooklyn apartment. It's got, like, old hardwood parquet floors. It has the really big moldings, like baseboard moldings that look like they've been painted 17 times over the years. And I click on it, and I'm looking at the guitar. And I'm like, oh, the price on this isn't bad. Where is it from? And I scroll down to where it's being shipped from, and it says Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I'm like, what are the fucking chances that this is the actual guitar that I left in Philadelphia 4.5 years ago, right? This was before I started doing the book, so there's no way I could tell by the serial number because I don't have the serial numbers for this guitar. I'm scrolling through the pictures, and I see the case that the guitar comes in. When my parents got me this, it's a used guitar. My parents bought it for me used. And 2 of the latches on the case were broken. So I went to the hardware store and I bought latches for like a trunk. Like they're giant. They're like for like a treasure chest. That's how big these friggin' things are, right? And I installed these 2 giant latches onto the case. And the fucking case was the same case on the Reverb list.
Shiver me timbers.
Shiver me timbers. Right? So I email the guy and I'm like, hey, did you happen to buy this from another person or did you
buy this from a New Yorker that gave you COVID?
like, did you buy this from a person or did you buy this from a pawn shop? And he goes, I bought it from a pawn shop. The guy told me that a teacher brought it in and traded it for an amp. I was like, no way. Because in New York, that's what my job was. I was a teacher. And I was like, well, this is my guitar. I was like, I sold that guitar to the pawn shop and I would love to have it back. And he goes, this is amazing. I would love for you to have it back. And he actually gave me another $200 off. And there it is. I got my guitar back, reconnected with it after 4.5 years.
Wow.
Sold.
That's wild.
Sold in Philadelphia. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And now I documented it properly in the book with the serial number. And the whole reason I started doing that was because I bought a book called Marr's Guitars. And it's about Johnny Marr, who is the guitar player for the Smiths. One of the Oasis, like the people that influenced the band Oasis that we love so much. They always talk about the Smiths. And this guy, Johnny Marr, actually played on a bunch of Oasis songs. So he came out with a book called Marr's Guitars, and he has all these, he has, thousands of guitars, so the book's pretty big. And he has all these stories about, oh, he sold this guitar and then got it back. And I'm like, how do these people get these guitars back? That's so insane. Like how are they supposed to know that this guitar is the one that they had if they didn't write down the serial numbers or have a specific thing about it? And then like 2 weeks later, this happened to me. So I'm like, wow, that's really cool.
That's wild.
I was hoping you rose the price $200.
Yeah, that's really what was going to happen. Oh, it means something to you? Double.
Hey,
nerd. He was really cool about it. He was really cool about it. He shipped it the next day. It came in all in one piece. And I got to say, it's not as good as I remembered, but that's okay. It's all right though. Cause it means something to me. It really does. It still plays really well.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's my wasting time.
So I did something rather old manish. When I left work, right? Like my wife and I work reasonably close to each other. I was like, I had some time to pick her up before I had to pick her up. I was like, I'm going to stop and get gas. And I work in what you might call a less than stellar neighborhood. And the gas station, I went over and like the pump, the credit card thing was like half ripped off the pump.
Oh.
So I'm like, probably don't want to put my credit card in that. Like, I'm guessing somebody was messing with that. So I went inside. I'm like, I'll go in here. I'll get a water. I'll grab like a chips and I'll pay for the gasoline. I walk inside. There is a man with the worst case of Tourette's I have ever seen. Ever. He is continuously cursing in Spanish, like violently screaming the entire time as he furiously scratchers off. And then he screams and he just puts his hand down. The guy gives him another one. This goes on. There's a bunch of people. I finally get up to the line. I'm so flustered by this man right next to me, like screaming, motherfucker, like screaming. I just pay the man. I'm like, put 20 on pump 1. I take my water and my little snack. I go out to my car. I crack open the water, take a big drink, and I go, I got to go pick up my wife. I'm 3/4 of the way to my wife. My gas light turns on. Do you know why?
You didn't pump your gas.
I was so flustered I didn't pump the fucking gas.
Oh, Mike.
It's the strawberries all over again.
I didn't pump the fucking gas.
Oh, my.
Yeah. I was like, wow, I'm getting old.
And you don't get flustered. You don't get flustered by people like that.
No, generally not, especially where I work and where I have worked.
Yeah.
No, it was just such a scene, right? Like it was so wild and like I normally don't get flustered. Like it was so odd of me. Like I just got back in the car, cracked open my little chips, had a couple chips, my Poland spring water, and off I went. And then I got like 3/4 of the way there, and I'm like, "Where's my gas light on, motherfucker?" And I'm like, I can't go back because there's no way the next guy didn't go free 20 and just take it.
Right.
Oh my God, I felt so dumb.
Did you tell your wife?
No.
My wife.
No, I went, we got to get gas. She's in the car.
She's like, why? $20 wasn't enough?
Nope, did they get gas this morning? I thought you were getting gas.
I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot. I was rushing. I didn't want you waiting. I rushed over you. I really rushed right over. Do you have chips in the water? I really rushed right over.
They were out of gas over there. What do you mean they were out of gas? They're out of gas.
Oh, I really felt so stupid.
So like a silly goose, huh?
Yeah, didn't
Mm,
pump it.
That's
Ooh.
funny.
My
Yeah.
wife,
My wife.
what is a thank you, is a Tourette's magnet. So yeah, exactly. Every time my wife and I went to the city to see a show or a concert or something like that, and we had to take the train. We didn't take the train very much. We drove as much as we could. We're drivers. And whenever we got on the train, the weirdest, like she just had that face. The weird people knew I can make that girl feel really uncomfortable. And they just swarmed to her. So anytime there was a person with Tourette's on a train, my wife just attracted them to him and they would just get up in her face. And then I'd have to freaking yell at a Tourette's guy and we'd have to switch cars. It must have happened 4 or 5 times while we were dating and going to the city all the time. So I feel your pain there, Mike.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. I go to this gas station a lot. This guy walks into the gas station every day at 3:00. Every day, gets his $20 worth of scratch offs and just suck it. And and he's wild, dude. And if he wins, he slams it down on the counter, screaming. Not violent screaming at all, just screaming at the top of his lungs. A lot of Spanish, a lot of real bad words, like wild shit. He's screaming and cursing. But I've seen him before, but the place I don't know why it flustered me so bad that day. It was so weird. He's there every day. If I go tomorrow, he'll be there.
He owes you $20 for gas.
He doesn't. He doesn't have a bike. He walks.
Oh.
Like he does not have a car. Trust me.
Oh. Yeah. Sebi, Joe, you got any wasting time?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So Steve was talking about our little trip to Target. Do you remember what we bought, Steve?
I remember what we bought. I bought a board game for my kids, and you bought yourself tiny little miniature Lord of the Rings swords that you were so excited to buy because they didn't have them in Queens, and he was so upset that he went all the way to Target.
They're full size.
They're life size for Joe.
You doing, you bastard? You gotta be quick.
I didn't want to stomp all over Steve.
Do you want to guess where those toys are, Steve?
Sure. Where are those toys, Joe?
The trash.
Why? What happened? Tell us what they are. Tell the audience what they were.
So you get these little balls here, right? And inside is
it's much smaller than I thought.
Oh, shit.
I thought they were going to be like letter opener size.
No.
Not like nail clipper sized.
You get these molds and you mold the weapons from Lord of the Rings.
What are you supposed to melt?
They give you like a liquid resin kind of thing.
Okay.
Not silver?
Right. So, you do it, whatever. So I got 2. I got Sting and I got the broken sword. So
Shards of North.
Literally a dwarf forging weapons.
Right? Yeah.
Dude, he went into the Target and he chooses 2 of these things and he goes, I really hope I get Sting and Narsil. I want those. Those are the 2 I want. If I get 2 of the same ones, I'm gonna be real mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a feud like a dwarf would.
And we get in the car, and he's opening them up in the car. I swear to God, I took my son to go to friggin' Target. And he's opening them up.
Absolute garbage.
And he opens it real slow, like the anticipation, and he got Sting, and we're like, yeah, you got Sting, good for you. And then he does the next one, and I'm like, oh my God, buddy, you got the 2 you wanted. It was great. It was so great. And then I thought he was going to be nice and go home and mold them with my kids. He didn't. He hid them right away. He's like, those kids aren't touching this shit.
We were busy the whole weekend.
No, I know. I'm just busting. So what happened? So you go home and you molded them.
Nothing takes. Like you don't you pull out the sword and it's still liquid.
You had to do something wrong.
You put the liquid in, you leave it in the sun for 60 minutes. I left it in the sun for a day and a half.
Oh, there.
It melted. It's UV resin?
Yep. Absolute
You should
garbage.
complain. You should complain. Write a letter.
For a $10 toy? No, not you guys.
$10
I'm
each,
not-
man.
I'm not calling Mr. Lord of the Rings and be like, hey, your $10 toy was garbage.
I gotta call Spectrum again. We're gonna have to have a fight.
Uh-oh.
Me and Hashish over there in Indonesia are
I
gonna
don't
have to have a
understand.
fight.
You have a legal cable.
I need internet. I buy the internet. It's the only thing I buy. I don't buy cable. And it's not illegal. It's Superbox.
That's super
I'm trying.
illegal.
Yeah, Michael. I'm
We have
trying to
a
get
box
a.
full of all the illegal things.
I'm trying to get
It's
him an
super
endorsement here,
illegal.
Mike.
Okay. I don't think we care about endorsing legal things. Who cares? But
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely
True.
illegal.
Yeah. Oh, so that stinks, Joe. Sorry to hear that.
Sorry, buddy.
That's all right.
I was. Did you have to paint them, or did they come already colored? No.
They just the resin is the color of whatever the
Oh, I gotcha.
blade of the sword
Alright.
would be. Yeah, most of them are all just silver.
That
Yeah.
stinks.
Yeah. I was like, I tried it twice. After the second time, I'm like, it's garbage.
Tried it twice, meaning you bought new ones and tried it again.
So they give you 2 hilts of each weapon. I guess if it doesn't take the first time,
Oh,
but
so
there's
they know
no
it's
real
coming
way
up.
to. Right, there's like no real way to clean out the
The
mold that didn't take. Yeah.
Mm.
So like once you use it and you fuck it up, it's
Yeah.
essentially garbage now.
Forged in
should have gotten
Fire,
Royce
Joe edition.
Because if it broke, it's just fine.
That's the only one I have. It's just pieces.
That's it. Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, Sebi, what do you got?
Oh, nothing. I've been really busy at work, but I went to I guess my last regular season baseball game of the season yesterday with some buddies from work. We tailgated at City Field, and we were tailgating, just shooting the shit, and all of a sudden, this golf cart pulls up next to us, and it stops, and we all look, and it's a police officer and a woman driving.
It would have been way better if it was the Hamburger and he ran over, stole your burgers, and off he went.
I was hoping it was Keith Hernandez and he spits on you or something.
Mets are really leaning into this now.
So she stops and she's like, "Oh, hey, boys," and she waves, and I'm like, "Who the hell is this woman?" And then she takes off. I'm like, "Who the hell was that?" And then as soon as she turns the corner, I was like, "Holy shit, that's Alex Cohen." It was the owner of the Mets' wife. She was just going around the parking lot, just saying hi to fans and shit. So really cool. It's just this season, like the whole Grimace thing, like it's kind of
Throwing
reminds
everybody
me
off.
of like, huh?
Throwing everybody off.
Yeah,
The whole
no,
Grimace
but
thing.
every time I went to the stadium this year, like I run into like some sort of famous Met fan, like Frank the Tank. I ran into him yesterday. I don't know if you know who that is. He's on Barstool Sports, and he's a really negative guy. But I ran into him yesterday. Joe, I ran into Pon yesterday.
Oh, cool.
Oh, upon the tattoo guy.
Yes, he's a big Met fan. I ran into him. It was a really fun season going to the stadium and go and watch the Mets. I was kind of upset that it was the last game, like the last regular home game that I would be able to go to. I don't think I'm going to go to any playoff games. I'm not going to drop like $500 for tickets or anything like that. But it was a fun season and whatever. Yeah,